There's a chip on your car right now. Front of the hood or a door edge, about the size of a grain of rice. Under it, the steel is bare, and it has been bare since spring. Somebody told you a shot of hairspray will seal that. Hold the can back a few inches, one light pass, and the spot is protected until you get to it properly. Your father did it. So did mine. Here's the part nobody ever updated. That trick was real. In 1975, it worked. Body men used it, and there's nothing foolish about the man who told you. It worked because the can was a different product. Hairspray then was shellac and lacquer resin thinned in alcohol. You were laying a coat of thin lacquer on bare steel, and lacquer is a moisture barrier. Then the formula changed. Vinyl chloride came out of aerosols in the middle 1970s, the propellants went with it, and the industry moved to water-soluble polymers to make a spray that brushes out and washes clean. That is what is in the can on the shelf today, and it is hygroscopic. That word means it pulls moisture out of the air and holds it. You are not sealing that chip. You are laying a damp sponge on bare steel and pressing it down. So the trick did not die because anybody hit it. It died because the product underneath it quietly stopped existing, and nobody told the men still using it. I came up sweeping a body shop floor, and I spent 30 years in the trade. By the end of this, you will know what a shop actually put on bare metal, the one drugstore item that still works because it never changed, and the mistakes that turn a chip the size of a grain of rice into a $1,400 panel. Number 23 is why the blister on your rocker is 3 times bigger than it looks. Number 13 is the product half of you already own and are using as though it were paint, and it is not paint. And number 1 is free, takes 5 minutes, and it is the reason a body man's own car never needed the shop he worked in. These 25 tricks were never about a can of hairspray. They were about men who understood that paint is not decoration. It is the only thing standing between your steel and the weather, and a break in it is a wound with a clock running. Let us count down the 25 rust and paint tricks the body shops stopped telling you about. Number 25. Never let bare metal sit overnight. The moment you sand through to shining steel, a clock starts, and in humid air it runs in minutes, not days. What comes up is flash rust, a fine orange bloom, and any coating laid over it fails from underneath. You either prime it before you put the tools down, or you wipe it with a film of light oil to hold it until tomorrow, then clean the oil off before you prime. A body man in 1974 never walked away from bare steel. Bare metal is not a resting state. It is an open wound. Number 24, the one drugstore item that still works. Clear nail polish is nitrocellulose lacquer, and unlike hairspray, it never stopped being that. On a stone chip the size of a match head, cleaned and dried, 1 drop of clear polish seals the steel from weather and holds for months until you do it right. It is not a repair, and it will not match, but it stops the clock. The hairspray changed underneath the trick. The polish is the one thing on that shelf that did not. Number 23. The blister is not a paint problem. When you see paint lifting in a bubble, the paint is not failing. Rust is growing under it and pushing it up, which means the corroded area is already wider than the bubble by an inch or more in every direction. Press it, and it crackles like a potato chip. That sound is the paint bridging over metal that is no longer solid. A shopman in 1975 measured out from a blister before he quoted it. The bubble is not the damage, it is the smallest part of it. Number 22. The 3 stages and which one you can still win. Surface rust is orange film on otherwise sound metal, and you beat it with sandpaper and a coating. Scale is flaking layers, and the steel under it is thinner but still there, so it takes grinding and often filler. Perforation is a hole, and no coating on earth fixes a hole. You have to know which one you have before you buy anything. A body man in 1973 called the stage before he opened a can. 2 of the 3 you can beat in your driveway. The 3rd one needs metal. Number 21. Wash and degrease before you sand, never after. Every panel carries wax, road film, and silicone from whatever was sprayed on it last. Sand first, and you drive all of that down into the scratches and into the metal, and nothing you apply afterward will stick to it. You wash with soap, dry it, then wipe with a wax and grease remover before a single piece of paper touches the paint. A shopman in 1975 did this without being told. Contamination on top wipes off. Contamination sanded and stays forever. Number 20. Sand out past the edge of what you can see. Rust travels underneath sound-looking paint, and if you stop at the visible edge, you have sealed live rust under your repair, and it will come back through in a season. You go until you are into clean, bright, undercut-free metal all the way around, and it is always farther than you expected. A body man in 1974 chased it until it stopped. It is not the rust you remove that ruins the job. It is the ring of it you left at the border. Number 19, the grit ladder and what skipping it costs. You start around 80 to cut the rust in the old paint, move to 180 to take out the 80 scratches, then 320 to take out the 180. Each grade exists to erase the one before it. Skip a step, and the deep scratches telegraph straight up through primer and color and sit there in the sun forever. A paintman in 1975 could name the grit somebody skipped just by looking. Sandpaper does not smooth the panel. Each sheet erases the sheet before it. Number 18. Feathering the edge. Where your repair meets the old paint, there is a step, and if you leave that step, you will see a hard ring around the spot in every light for the rest of the car's life. You sand the surrounding paint at a shallow angle, so the layers taper out like the edge of a coin, and you check it with your fingertips, not your eyes. A body man in 1972 read it with his hand. Your eye finds the color. Your fingers find the edge. Number 17, clean between every step and tack it last. Sanding dust, skin oil from your fingers, and lint all cause the same failures, and they are invisible until the coating is on. You wipe with wax and grease remover between every stage, let it flash off, and go over the surface with a tack cloth immediately before you spray. A shopman in 1975 touched the panel only with a clean rag. It is almost never the paint that failed. It is what was on the panel when the paint went down. Here's something nobody is counting. The men who learned this trade when lacquer was still in the gun, who could read a panel with their fingertips and tell you what somebody had done to it 10 years earlier, are nearly all gone. The youngest of them are past 80. They did not keep it in a manual. They kept it in their hands over 30 years of sanding, and they learned it from men who had learned it the same way. When they go, the cans stay on the shelf at the parts store, exactly where they always were, and the knowing goes into the ground. The chain ran bench to apprentice for 50 years, and then the booths went computerized and the chain stopped. If this is worth something to you, take 1 second right now and hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. That is the only reason a video like this ever reaches the next man who needs it. Number 16. Self-etching primer and filler primer are not the same thing. They sit side by side on the shelf, and men grab either one. Self-etching primer carries a mild acid that bites into bare metal and grips it, and that is the one that goes down first on clean steel. Filler primer is thick, sands flat, and fills fine scratches, and it goes on top. Put filler primer straight on bare metal, and it sits there without adhesion. One is a handshake with the steel, the other is a smoothing coat, and it needs the handshake underneath it. Number 15. Body filler goes on clean bare metal and nothing else. Spread it over old paint and it holds until the paint under it lets go, which it will. Spread it over rust, and you have sealed a living thing inside a plastic shell where it eats in the dark for 2 years. Filler goes on metal you have taken to bright or on cured epoxy primer, and never on top of a coating that is already failing. A body man in 1974 ground it to metal every time. Filler does not stop rust, it only hides it until the panel is beyond saving. Number 14. A rust converter is not a primer. Those phosphoric acid products turn red iron oxide into a stable black iron phosphate, and in a pitted seam you cannot reach with a wheel that is genuinely useful. But it is a conversion, not a coating, and left bare it will absorb moisture and start over. You neutralize per the label, dry it completely, then prime and paint it the same day. A rebuilder in 1975 always covered his work. The acid stopped what was there. Only the seal stops what comes next. Number 13. Primer is not paint, and it is the mistake half of you are making. Primer is porous by design because it needs a mechanical grip for the color. Leave a panel in gray primer through a winter and it takes on water like a sponge and delivers it straight to the steel, and then men wonder why the metal under a primered spot is worse than where the paint was cracked. Primer is not a finish. It is a floor waiting for a house, and rain finds it in a week. Number 12. Warm the can and shake it for a full 2 minutes. A cold can sprays at low pressure, and low pressure means big droplets, spatter, and orange peel. You stand the can in warm tap water for a few minutes, never in boiling water and never near a flame, and you shake until the ball has been rattling a full 2 minutes by a clock, not by feel. A paintman in 1975 shook a can longer than most men think necessary. The nozzle is not what atomizes the paint. The pressure behind it does. Number 11. Temperature and humidity decide whether it works at all. Below about 55 degrees, the paint will not flow out or cure properly, and it stays soft for weeks. On a humid day, moisture gets trapped in the film and you get blush, a milky haze that no amount of buffing removes. You spray on a dry day out of direct sun on a panel that is warm to the touch and not hot. A shopman in 1975 sent a car home rather than spray it in the wrong weather. The can does not fail on those days. The air does. There's a reason nobody points you at a $6 can anymore. Price out what these failures cost. Rust repair on a rocker or a quarter panel runs $1,000 to $3,000 by the time metal is cut, welded, and blended. A single panel refinished to match runs $500 to $1,000. A professional chip and touch-up service is $150 to $300 for damage the size of your thumbnail. Now price the alternative. Self-etching primer, $6. Color, $10. Clear, $8. Wax and grease remover, $6. Sandpaper and a tack cloth, another $10. $40, and an afternoon stops what 4 figures repairs later, and there is no line on any estimate for the chip that never spread. The craft was not lost. It was made unprofitable, and then it was allowed to die. Do me one favor before we get to the top 9. Hit like, subscribe, and turn that bell on so the next one finds you. That is the entire price of this. Number 10. Thin coats, and let each one flash. Every man who has ruined a repair did it by trying to cover in one pass. A heavy coat traps solvent underneath, and that solvent keeps working its way out for days, which is what runs, wrinkles, and soft paint actually are. You lay a light tack coat, wait about 10 minutes, then 2 or 3 more. A paintman in 1975 built color in 4 passes. The first coat is not there to cover. It is there to give the next one something to hold. Number 9. Distance, speed, and 50% overlap. You hold the can 8 to 10 inches out, keep it moving before you press and after you release, and move parallel to the panel instead of swinging your wrist in an arc. Every pass overlaps the last by half. Too close builds runs, too far leaves dry, gritty paint that never gloss out. A bodyman in 1974 moved his whole arm. The wrist paints an arc, which is thick in the middle and dry at both ends. Number 8. Ventilation and a real respirator, and this one is not optional. Aerosol clear coats with a hardener in the can contain isocyanates, and those sensitize your lungs permanently, which means the exposure that hurts you may be the one after this. You spray outdoors or in a genuinely ventilated space, never in a closed garage, with a cartridge respirator rated for organic vapor and not a dust mask. A shopman in 1975 wore his even for a small job. A ruined panel is $600. Your lungs do not come off the shelf. Number 7. Color without clear is a repair that dies in a year. Almost every car built since the late 1980s wears base coat and clear coat, and base coat has no gloss and no ultraviolet protection at all on its own. Spray color on a spot and stop there, and it will go chalky and flat within a season and stand out worse than the chip did. You clear it, and you carry the clear a little past the color. A paintman in 1975 finished what he started. The color is the look. The clear is the armor. Number 6. Give it 30 days before you wax it. Aerosol paint feels dry in an hour and hard in a day, but it is still releasing solvent for weeks and sealing it early with wax traps that solvent and leaves the film soft and prone to marking. You wash it gently if you must, and you keep polish and wax off it for a month. A shopman in 1975 wrote the date on the ticket. Dry to the touch is not cured. It only feels finished. Number 5. The panel rusted from the back, so treat the back. Almost every rocker, arch, and door skin rots from the inside outward, which means a beautiful outside repair is cosmetic if the cavity behind it is still raw. You get a wand into the factory access holes and fog a lanolin or wax-based cavity coating through the inside of that panel. A rustproofer in 1975 did every repair from both sides. The side you can see is the side you fixed. The side you cannot is the side that started it. Number 4. The edges, where the paint has always been thinnest. Paint pulls thin over every sharp edge as it flows, which is why rust starts at the lip of a wheel arch, the bottom edge of a door, the trailing edge of a hood, and the lip of a trunk before it starts anywhere flat. Those edges get looked at first and touched up first. A body man in 1972 checked edges before panels. It is not that those spots see more weather. It is that they were born with less protection. Number 3. Knowing the map. You do not inspect the whole car. You look where paint always breaks, the leading edge of the hood and the front of the roof where stones hit, the rocker below each door, the arch lips, the seams where panels meet, the lower door edges, and the trunk lip under the seal. That handful of places is where nearly every rust job in this country begins. A shopman in 1975 walked it in 2 minutes. Rust is not random. It starts where the paint was thin and where the road throws things. Number 2. The seasonal pass with a light and a can. Twice a year you take a bright light, go down that map on both sides, and mark every chip and scratch you find with a piece of tape. Then you sit down with a can and clean up every one of them in one afternoon. It is not a repair. It is a standing appointment with the paint. A body man in 1975 told his customers that afternoon was worth more than anything he could do for them later with a welder. Number 1. Catching the first chip the week it happens. That is all. 5 minutes, a bright light, and a walk around your own car. Because every rust repair in the history of the automobile started as a break in the paint, smaller than a grain of rice, and the only reason it became a bill is that it stayed open through a winter with nobody looking. Your grandfather did this without calling it anything. He called it keeping the paint up. Number 1 is not a trick. It is the look that makes the other 24 worth knowing. If this was worth your time, hit like, subscribe, and turn on that bell right now. It costs you nothing, and it is the whole reason I get to keep making these. None of this needed a certification, a booth, or a $600 gun. It needed a few cans, a sheet of paper, a light, and a man who understood that paint is armor and a chip is a hole in it. That was the default setting in every body shop in America. Not confidence handed down from a classroom. Confidence built from having opened up enough blisters to know exactly how far the rust runs past the edge of what you can see. We did not lose the cans. They are on the shelf at the parts store, $6 a piece, right where they always were. We lost the hands that knew which one went down first, and the old man who ran his fingertips along a repair and said, "There, feel that edge. That is the part you did not finish." So tell me down in the comments what you are driving, how old it is, and where the first chip is on your car right now. Hood edge, door edge, or the rocker. I read every one of these. He is gone now, and most of what he knew went with him. But not all of it. because some of it is in this video written down at last. So this weekend, do not reach for the can in the bathroom. Take a light, walk your own car, and find the break in the paint while it is still smaller than a grain of rice. Next time I will show you the old shop method for bringing chalked, oxidized, single-stage paint back to gloss with a $30 bottle of compound and one afternoon on a car most people would have repainted. The craft is not dead. It is $6 and a willing hand away.